Hello everyone, my name is Mithilesh Kumar. I am the course instructor for Introduction to Western Political Thought, and I welcome you in this first live session. I'm sure you will have many questions, comments, and feedback to share. For those of you who are joining to Microsoft Team, may I request you to turn on your camera and audio just to ask any question if you have. And during this live session, I will also try to address some of the questions that are raised on discussion forum and also through the uh, feedback forum. We have also circulated one Google spreadsheet, and some of you have asked question there as well. So what I'll do, meanwhile, anytime those of you who joined online can unmute yourself and ask question or share your experience. Meanwhile, I'll just begin with the Google spreadsheet form. Some of you have asked question and I would like to address them. Those of you who are joining through YouTube, in the chat box section also you can write your questions and comment, and I'll be happy to answer them as well. Okay, so first question is from Ritasi Raina on Google spreadsheet. Ritasi is having some technical issue with uploading her photo, it seems, for exam registration. So Ritasi, I think you should write to the NPTEL team for that technical assistance. From our side, we'll also inquire and we'll let you know. And I think on the discussion forum, you have also raised this issue. My suggestion would be just check the specification, maybe the photo size, and such thing. The format, JPG or whatever format is required. You follow that and try to upload again. If you still face problem, please write to the technical team. Okay. Second question is from Muhammad Nabil. So Nabil is asking about the nature of exam questions, whether it will be MCQ or will they be similar to the questions in the assignment. And his other concern is, and I'm sure many of you also have similar concern, how can I maximize my learning through the videos? Do I need to study from the textbook also, or are the notes in the video lectures enough? What do I need to study to get A+, that is 90 to 100 percentile? So I think Nabil has asked very good question, which is there on the discussion forum also. And I'm sure many of you may have similar concern. So in the final exam, the first part, there would be only MCQ question. You will have multiple choice and you have to select only one most correct or correct option the MCQ. Sometimes it may happen that you find some question is correct, more than one options are correct. In that situation, you go for that option which you find most correct, most appropriate. So for all the questions, there would be only one correct answer. And nature of questions, I'll say would be more or less similar to the assignment, but there would be different segments. So for those of you who have just enrolled, I'll request to register for the exam. and submit your assignment regularly. So even if you have missed one or two assignment, you should consider submitting rest of the assignment. As for the final assessment, we will select only the best 8 assignments that you submit. In final examination also, this regular submission of assignment will help you. And that is, we'll have a number of questions, a set of questions, which is directly from the assignment. So you have one such section in the final exam where questions and options will be directly from the assignment. Then you will also have some question which would be, just to assess your recalling ability. That means if you have watched the video, if you have listened to the lecture, you should easily answer them. And finally, if you finally the large section of large number of questions would be more a kind of assessing your comprehension, whether you understood the concepts or the thinker clearly or not. So there would be that kind of question too. All right, I'll come back to this later on, but I think there is some person, Aziz Naik. Yes,
so can you unmute me? Am I unmute? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
I can hear you. Yes,
okay,
yes,
fine.
I can
Great
hear you.
one.
Please go ahead.
Sir, I'm actually doing my PhD in law, and one of the requirement of our mandatory coursework in terms of semester 2 is that we need to have 6 credits from NPTEL. The point that you just raised, that some questions will come from the assignment. Now, the context is that the minimum passing marks is around 40, if I'm not right. Am I right?
So there are two components.
No, I'm coming to that component. I'm coming to the component. So overall is 40, which means out of assignment it has to be 10, and out of the MCQ,
75.
the MSQ, that is kind of 75, out of which you should get around 30. The first question that I have is, getting 10 marks is very easy, because the way the assignment is going, we are scoring upward of 80%, which comes to around percentage of around 22.5. So the first part is over. The second part, as you enumerated, and which is what even the NPTEL guys told us, and that question is in the MSQ, MCQ, in the online exam that we'll have, where you just made a reference that some questions will come from the assignment. So what will the percentage of those questions from the assignment? Because, if you see your subject itself, it is more than 800 pages in terms of syllabus. Because I downloaded the syllabus and then it comes around 800 pages. Now we are all working professional. Sociology is not our core domain, So from jurisprudence, it helps us a lot in terms of philosophical articulation. Knowing that as a background, how much percentage will come from the assignment in the online examination, roughly?
Yeah, good question, Ajay. So I understand this is an online platform, so learners are from various backgrounds, and they may not have the time to go through the PPT or course material as we expect from a regular student. To answer your question about the number of questions directly from the assignment, it would be about 30 to 25 to 30% question will be directly from the assignment.
Thank you very much. That means that is easier to pass. That means we will pass that, so that our PhD is not jeopardized. Now, knowing that, and this is something very good news that you have given, because I was a little bit worried. Now my next question is a little more tricky, and forgive me if I'm being rude or if I'm being talking something different which is not expected. So what I did was that from your syllabus, I extracted all that PowerPoint display which was there and put it into my PowerPoint presentation. I'm into my 8th week of your video. I've gone through your video. I've gone through the notes also. I always try to see that I'm ahead of you by 1 or 2 weeks, so that I complete the syllabus before the exam comes, and then spend some time on actually studies. Knowing that I'm actually putting all my effort. Now we have our office work also. We have a thesis writing also going on. and then this commitment to NPTEL. The question that I have is, in the PPT, the way that I have extracted from your PPT, from your notes into my PPT, ultimately my exams, there are two exams of mine on the same day. One is your this one Western thoughts, and other is classical sociology theory. It is on the same day on 20th of October. Now, in the later part, once you complete your course, all the videos for the 12 weeks, can I just focus on the PPT part, and that will help a lot, because going through 500 and 800 pages will be next to impossible for us.
Yeah, I understand that. So, so you have different priorities and different expectations from the course. So if you want to just pass the course, I think PPT is more than sufficient. All the questions you get for your assignment, and also majority of the questions that you will get in the final exam, will come directly from the PPT. So PPT is the basis on which I record video, and the pages you are mentioning, 500 plus pages, these are basically the transcript of the video. So PPT, if you do it well, and if you have some problem in understanding some part of the PPT, you can refer to the video lecture. So I would suggest you to, stick to the PPT, since your objective is just to pass the exam. And if you find some PPT not very clear, refer to the concerned video. That should be sufficient. If you are more interested, and some learners do have interest in a particular thinker to know more, to score better, for them, I think this transcript would also be valuable. And for all the PPT, I'm also giving a slide where I refer to some other works besides the PPT, video, lecture, and transcript. So depending upon your interest, priorities, and expectation, you can well formulate your strategy. I hope that answers your question, Aziz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It really answered the question. Now, so in percentage term, can I say around 30% from assignment and around 40%
about 20
from PPT?
Around 20 to 30% from the assignment,
from the PPT.
All the questions will be from the PPT, so nothing is beyond the
great.
PPT.
Now, you see, sir, if you see my feedback that I gave today, you have sent a form as to what kind of difficulties that we have, correct? So you see, at times the questions
are you referring to the weekly feedback?
Not weekly. Weekly feedback is all excellent I've given. I said everything is fantastic.
You have just written on the Google spreadsheet.
Yeah. See, there I've asked you a question. Can you have a look at it before I respond?
Yeah, I'm just reading it now. Very good question. This I'll keep in mind your suggestion for the next week's kind of assignment.
Correct. You know why I asked that question? Most of us guys,
I understand.
We are on a higher level over there. You know, in UG Senate, they try to confuse a candidate with silly questions. And there, actually intelligence doesn't play a role. It is not the objectivity or the logic which needs to actually play a role.
Please understand that as an instructor, I am not knowing the kind of background which a learner would have. And I would like to have all kind of questions in the assignment. Some easy, some confusing, and some to test whether you have understood the concepts correctly or not. So sometimes you will have one or two questions which you find a bit vague or confusing, just to ensure that your depth of understanding or your clarity. So sometimes we do it deliberately, but particularly this question which you have mentioned about Machiavelli's central concept, I'm sure I need to check the context that particular week week's assignment question, and maybe I'll see what is the context why you find it a bit ambiguous, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Now the reason I asked you this question was, I'm a little bit hurt in the sense that in classical sociology, I'm scoring 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. Whereas here in your subject, I think in 3 assignment I got 100. In in one assignment got 80, and yesterday that was published, I got 90. So I was a little bit disheartened.
I'll check and we'll get back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Don't worry. I mean, if you are scoring that well, you need not to get disheartened. Particularly this question, I'll recheck and respond to you. You can use the discussion forum for this purpose also. But on the weekly feedback forum, some learners are also raising a similar question, that they find the language a bit vague or ambiguous. We are trying, but sometimes we deliberately give some questions which appears to be a bit confusing, just to understand the clarity of the learners. So we'll check that edges. Okay. So
thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we about what one should know more and score well in this exam. And I have partly answered while referring to Ajay's question about assignment, exam, and so on. So if you focus on the PPT, which is the main basis of everything you hear or see in the video lecture or read in the video notes. So to do well in this course and perform well in the exam and assignment, I think PPT, video lecture, and in addition, the transcript of the videos are more than sufficient. So if you want to do well, please reread the PPT. If you have some confusion, you can go to the transcript or the video to clarify further. So to do well in the exam, for the grade point of view, these materials are more than sufficient. However, some of you may have some interest in a particular thinker or a particular idea of that particular thinker. So for that, in each PPT, if you see, I have a slide giving a reference to additional material. You can also refer to those texts. Some of the key texts like Sefali Jha's book and a book from Sage very recently. You can also refer to some key text if you want. But for me, if you just do study PPT and watch the video regularly, it should be sufficient, and you can do better in the exam. And all the questions in the assignment or in the final exam will be from the PPT and the video lecture. So there is nothing outside that. I hope that answered your question, Nabil. If you are here, you can ask a subsidiary question, or you can also use the discussion forum. All right, I got a lot of questions from Isa Rani. Isa, are you there online? Okay. Isa had a good a set of questions. First is about during Machiavelli's writing, Christianity was the religion which he wanted to separate from the state. But as we studied earlier, scholars, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, which religion was prevalent? These scholars did not talk about any new religion. So it's a very good question, and I don't think in this discussion forum I can sufficiently answer or even convince you about this. But remember, the times of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle was very different from Machiavelli's. In the classical Hellenic civilization or Greek civilization, the question of religion was there, but these scholars were, more concerned about, the question of ethics, question of politics, idea of justice or good state. And religion as such, in an organized way, as we have during the medieval time, did not play such a determining role in the lives of the people. So there was an urge for a spirituality or ecclesiastical matters, but that really did not control the way it did during the medieval time when Machiavelli was trying to formulate his thought. So certainly, the Socrates, for instance, was much before the emergence of Christianity. And Christianity as an organized religion and the way it tried to control society, politics, economy, almost every sphere of human life. And that mode of religion and that status of religion was non-existent during the time of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. They were more concerned about the question of ethics, justice, good life, happiness, and so on and so forth, as we have discussed. But Machiavelli writing in a very different time when religion is the important thing, which decides everything. So for him, how to establish this secular or autonomous status of politics or state was of prime concern. So therefore, he was talking about two kind of morality, one for the ordinary people and one for the prince. So his views of religion was embedded in a social practice where religion was much more organized, dominating, and controlling. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, even if religion existed, it did not have that kind of influence on the minds and lives of the people. So for now, I'll just answer that. But if you have any subsequent question, you can use the discussion. Okay. He says again asking another question: what is the difference between political thought and political philosophy? Can we have a lecture on this? So we cannot have a separate lecture on this, but if you can refer to the first introductory lecture, partly I addressed this question of political theory, thought, and philosophy. Thought is a bit more immediate response to the unfolding situation. It reflects in the writings of one man or women or group of men and women. Political philosophy, on the other hand, is a bit broader and transcendental in a sense that it talks about the larger question of beauty, good life, and so on. So there are overlapping issues and concern in both political thought and philosophy, and also political theory. But there are slight differences between, say, thought and the question of philosophy. So that slight difference is about the whether individual thinker or a group of thinkers are responding to their immediate concern, or they are referring to something which is timeless, which is eternal, that kind of thinking. However, you cannot really make a clear-cut compartmentalization of ideas as thought or theory or philosophy, because they overlap also. English. So now the third question from Issa is about the sophist. What were their religion? And then objective, subjective knowledge are related to which paradigm? Difference between political thought of sophists and Socrates. So these are really important question, Issa. I am not prepared today to answer it thoroughly, but maybe on the discussion forum, I'll reply to this question. But sophists were focused more on, say, rhetorics. And they were considered as the instructor, teacher, or the sage. Plato, in some of his books, like Crito, I think, refers to some of the sophists, like Gorgias and others. So they were more conservative, orthodox in their approach to the religion, and focus was more on, succeeding or winning. So more a kind of secular, one can say, but that term would be anachronistic. So they have very what to say, practical, conservative kind of approach towards religion. But more on this, I'll reply in the discussion for discussion. So, objective, subjective knowledge and its debate and which paradigm. So if you understand while discussing the methodology, interpretative or hermeneutic approach will fall within, subjective knowledge will fall within that thing. Objective, you can refer to like positivist approach, which try to detach the knower from the object of inquiry, and then that knower produce knowledge about that subject. So positivism would be a kind of paradigm which prefers objectivity, neutrality, and so on. Okay. So I hope I answered questions on the Google spreadsheet. If some of you are in this live session, you can unmute yourself and ask questions also. All right, there is one question from YouTube. Murang, what is the difference between plebeians and patricians? Murang, monarch. So thanks, Monarch, for this question. In Roman society, there was a kind of clear-cut distinction between the status of individual. So patricians were people of high status, relatively high status, because of their wealth, because of their expertise, because of their knowledge. So they were higher, and plebeians were the ordinary people at the bottom of the pyramid. So plebeians were common folk, masses, people going about their day-to-day life, concerned about their day-to-day life. They were at the bottom of this hierarchical social structure, and patricians were at the slightly higher status because of their wealth, knowledge, and expertise. Okay, Monarch, I think that answer your question. Those of you who are live, and if you have any question, may I request you to unmute and ask your question or share your experience or feedback. I hope for you the course is enjoyable, and in your feedback, weekly feedback, I get that from you. So besides that, if you want to share anything, please go ahead. Yes,
So I'm sorry I'm asking a lot of questions. So I
No
wanted
problem.
to seek your permission before I ask.
Yes,
See,
yes,
one
please go ahead.
observation that I have is I work for my whole life has gone working for American multinational. And the way we do, I'm myself trained the trainer, the way we train, the way we teach. And one particular, knowing that NPTL and also the IITs are predominantly coming from the government, the mandate comes from the government and they are blend themselves to whatever the government dictats are. What I observed was that there was a differential that I saw between the PPTs, the presentation that you did from the PPTs, and what Mr. Santosh, I think one gentleman is there, I'll tell you his exact name, who's doing your, one is your, what do you call it, classical. So that gentleman name is and this was actually it is creating lot. R. Santosh. He's teaching us classical sociology theory from IIT Madras. Now, one distinct feature that I noticed was that when I started, when I look at your video, I also look at the transcript also. So I don't look at the video. You talk in the background, I look into the transcript, and I start highlighting any particular important point is there. The problem that I have is when it comes to your PPT, which I consolidate, everything got consolidated in less than 30 pages or so. Because you covered on that particular topic that you cover, that you speak, you cover it around 4 or 5 slides. Now, in case of Mr. Santosh, what I'm noticing is first his photograph comes. Now, for me to extract, I have to remove that photograph, and it comes in small bits and pieces. His PPT now is running into more than 60 pages, which is actually creating problem for me in the sense that in one page I have to keep sticking in different parts of the PPT, so the flow is getting lost.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing your thought and ideas on this. Please understand that this NPTEL is a nationwide thing. Different instructors, different subject matter expert will have their different style of teaching and different style of preparing their PPT lectures and so on. So I think this live session we cannot certainly discuss that, but I'll take whatever you are sharing your experience and see if we can use it in our on PPTs. But you need to understand that different subject matter experts will have their own distinct approach.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Are there any other questions, comments, or suggestion from those who are here? Is Pujari Grisas Sridhar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good to see you. Any question, Vivek?
All right. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Related to Machiavelli's theory. Actually, exactly what Machiavelli has to say that now, for example, he in his the Prince book, he talks about to be like ruthless or be immoral in a sense to acquire the land and the kingdom and all by the king. But at the same time, he says for the people to be religious. So, what exactly Machiavelli is trying to portray here? I didn't get it. Like he should treat for the people as an subject, or should he give governance to them and people should control, or he's in the middle way, having and we should have both the balance.
Thank you, Rishabh. So this is a very good question, and often when we talk about Machiavelli, and we use it in all the negative sort of thing, right? So he's a ruthless, he's a mean, or Machiavellian politics in diplomatic circle, where interest and winning matters more than whatever the method you apply. So means and ends kind of distinction. So Machiavellian politics is often misunderstood. If you read the PPT and watch my video lecture, I have discussed two of his texts, Discourse on Levy and also The Prince. If you have not watched both, I request you to have a proper or balanced understanding of Machiavelli and his thought, his understanding on politics. We should read more discourses on Levy than The Prince. Much of our understanding comes from his text, The Prince. And in Prince, his primary concern is security of the principalities or the kingdom. So for a prince, topmost concern is not like today's state welfare of the people, but the security of the state or the kingdom. So, to do that, he is arguing for this not ruthless violence. The word he uses the calculated use of violence. And, Somo Avinari, I think, he considered Machiavelli as the theorist of economy of violence. He know exactly how to use violence effectively for the purpose of securing the state or principalities. That's his concern. For that purpose, if a king has to be ruthless and not compassionate, it is better to be feared than, loved, according to Machiavelli, because king has to protect his principality. So that was the topmost priority. Now, why he is suggesting two kind of morality, king or prince to be ruthless and, people to have ordinary Christian moralities to ensure that the king, while protecting the principality, is not bonded by the ordinary Christian morality, because that will not help him protect his territory or protect his kingdom. Therefore, he is arguing different set of morality and in fact, making the prince independent from the ordinary morality. But ordinary morality for the common people will help in, stability, because the people will have respect towards the king and so on and so forth. So respect for ordinary morality, Machiavelli used it for a political purpose. That means to protect the principalities and its stability, it is better if the people, common people, are governed by ordinary morality. But if the same morality is applied to the king, then there would be threat and danger to the principality. So therefore, he is, making that difference. But on people or republic, I think you should maybe recheck or rewatch that video on discourses on Levy to understand the whole purpose of the stability and order by a king is to be maintained when he is loved, respected by the people. I hope that answered. Risa?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't think there are any more
one last
questions.
Question from me, sir. One last question from my end.
All right.
Just wanted to check with you. We started a discussion with the assignment, how the question will come from the historical assignment. Now, when I talk about historical assignment, there are two. One is what we are undergoing, and if we are in the 5th assignment, we just completed, and probably 7 will follow, and 12 will get over. I could download around 12 more from the historical assignment from the NPATL site. Is there some historical assignment of past which we can use it for our exams? Or this is sufficient? What I'm going to go 12 now, and 12 is already historical, which is already posted to make it 24.
So, if you go to the course portal, I am sure there are assignments from, this is a rerun course. This is not a new course. So all the previous year's assignment or live sessions are available on the course portal. So I think from there you can download the questions
Sir, I did that, sir. I spoke to NPTEL also, and they said, sorry, we have only for 1 year, 12 assignment of the previous year. Prior to that, nothing is available.
So you have the previous year's
Is it
assignment
possible?
and not prior to that?
Yeah. So
Okay,
if you
that
have
is,
something, if you
you know,
can
that
email
is
it
for
to us, that will
technical.
be great. Yeah, that will be great for us. If you have that
Some of
historical
the
question bank.
question bank. Yeah, I think for technical reason, they are not maybe allowing you access to that, just to maintain the kind of relevance of the assignment. Because, you know, we have just about how many 30 hours lecture, so 30 ppts. All the questions in the assignment every year comes from the same ppt. So if we have that, you know, historical assignments and all the questions paper available on the portal, then it may not serve the purpose of, you know, engaging the learners in the videos, in the PPT, in the assignment. And also, you know, learning is not just submitting the assignment and passing the exam, but also to engage with the ideas, to the thinker, develop some interest in a particular thinker. For example, all the thinkers we do, I'm sure you may find more, um, some thinkers more convincing than others, some ideas more challenging, and that is the whole purpose of learning. So maybe about this historical question bank, uh, one can see, but these decisions are entirely taken by the NPTEL team, not from the our end. So you have to bear with that.
Thank you, sir. I think the point well taken. I think you're absolutely correct. I was selfish because I wanted the 30 to get my. I should not be barred from my PhD for the thesis creation.
Okay. Yeah, so purpose is to engage the learners in the video and weekly assignment, and, you know, let them develop their interest or kind of passion in particular thinkers.
So one particular fact that I noticed was that what I did was I checked historically how many students enrolled, how many students appeared for exam, and how many passed. So your subject last year was 70%, and for the other subject it was 79%. Any particular reason why 30% failed, even to score bare minimum 30 out of 70?
And there could be many reasons. Just first, maybe some of them have not submitted the required assignment. So some of them just sit for the exam and did not submitted any assignment, or vice versa. So there could be those reasons also. Besides that, it's very hard to understand that if somebody submitted the assignment regularly and given the final exam, he will fail, unless he has not watched any video or cared to read any PPTs, and then one can understand. But this 30% is, you know, is still a bit higher. Is it the last year um, 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 uh, result that you are talking about, or last to last year? Which course? Is this the same course? Okay, I think. Aegis, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing it because I was on another call. My office call is going on.
All right. Fine. So, you know, there could be many reasons for that. Maybe low performance, not reading the materials or watching the video, and also a large number of them may not have submitted the assignments or did not appear for the exam also. So there could be many reasons for that. All right. So now I think we have 1 hour for this live session, and we'll have at least 2 more in coming months. So I look forward to those interaction as well. But before I conclude today's live session, I'll request those of you who have enrolled, please do register. So anyone can enroll and watch the regular video and submit the assignment. But if you want to earn a certificate or whatever the credit requirement is from your institute, you must register for the exam. And I think the last date of such registration is August 28, and you can find the further details on the course portal. So if you have not registered for the exam, please do register. And use the discussion forum for any questions or queries that you may have. We'll be very happy to respond. And your weekly feedback is really helpful. And this is a rerun course, so we cannot really change much in the video lecture and its format. But about the assignments or exam questions, if you have some suggestions, do share. We'll take them on board while working on this course in the next year or next semester. So, all right, with that, let me conclude this live session. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all your questions and comments. And I look forward to the next meeting, live session as well. Thank you.